I decided to do succulents.
Yes, they're beautiful. They're just amazing. I didn't realize succulents were so. I just think of them as little tiny cactuses, but
yeah, but they're really very lovely and they're very colorful. So I decided to do this one. And I thought that this, with the fading between pink and gray, would be a good thing to teach charging with. And it's a fun technique, actually. So what I've done, I'm using this reference photo. And if we have time, I'll do a background on this one. I did another sketch. But I'm not going to do anything with this one right now. This one, I did the background, and I've also put a lot of goop. So all of these little goop places are sort of borders where I don't want the charging to happen. But really the secret of charging is not to, the other way, is not to put water where you don't want paint and let the paint do its thing otherwise. So, so the border is nice. And when I did the background, I put goop all the way around the edge of the succulent. And this is plastic wrap, and this is salt, because I thought the salt would make nice pebbles, because in this one, it's in the pebbles. And the pot color suggested the blue, even though I think the pot is actually black, but it suggested blue. It seemed blue to me. So I'm going to take a medium-ish brush. I'm going to move my iced tea over there so I don't put my brush in it. And I don't use my straw as if it's a brush. And I pick out, I'm going to do that leaf first because it's in the middle. And I'm wetting the boundary of the leaf. And then I'm taking this, my little red, and it's mostly red. And I'm putting the most of it up here. I think it needs to be a little orange or red. So mixing my reds. I think I've got a cadmium red and a rose madder. And then there's just a little bit of green down the edge. So I'm going to get a little bit of green. And of course, we know that red and green make gray, so that will be interesting too. So now those are they're gonna rejoice in each other's color. We'll just see what happens. So now I'm gonna go someplace where that one is not touching. So I'm gonna try this leaf over here. Yeah. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
Hello.
Hi.
And I'll let that dry. Is that showing up at all? Yeah, a little bit. Have to realize very subtle colors don't show up so well. So the things I do on camera are probably overcolored. like you would push it with photography, Louise?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're pushed.
Oh, guilty is charged.
Yeah.
A little bit of oversaturation, you know?
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to do down here. And that has more than red and green, doesn't it? And this one's a little more cadmium. And here I've got green. Ooh, that's supercharged. And when you do charging, it's not going to be the way it is. I mean, it's sort of on the way it is on the paper. But if you're looking for photographic realism with charging, you're not going to get it. You're sort of going to get something similar to what you started out with. So now I'm going to skip to this leaf. It's only very little rose madder. I finally finished my winter birches that John did so nicely. And I finally finished it because I needed the board. And I said, well, I've either got to finish it or I've got to say, all right, I'm not going to do it. So I finished it this afternoon. And because it had goop on it or tape on it for months,
Oh,
the paper really shredded.
Oh,
So the birches got to be very dark because I'm working on broken paper, and then hitting it with a credit card to make scratches. So it got very bizarre. There. This
Sounds
is
like a-
color.
textured.
Yes, it was a textured birch. And instead of being nice and white against the dark green of the fir tree, it got to be quite black. I mean, quite dark. Not black, but. Okay, so where do I skip now? I can skip over here. Right? I had never mixed background techniques. This is the first time that I did plastic wrap and salt on the same painting. And I'm not sure, and I think I have a lot to learn. I think it works, but you know, I have some stuff to learn here. And just the littlest bit of green. I wonder if I'd be better off having two brushes, one for red and one for green.
I have two brushes, so you can follow the trend.
Ah, yes, I think that might be a good idea.
I have one for water and one for color.
Yes, well, that suggests three. Which leaf am I doing? To check them off or something. Okay, and then there's this bit of white, and then there's sort of a muddiness. Very thin, but sort of muddy. Well, I won't do that one. I'll do something up here. There, that one. Whoa, now that's very green. Yeah, I think having a water brush is a good idea. Because it is doing, like I said, it's red and green make gray, as we know. Huh, that might actually be working. I think probably the other thing that this will require is lifting. In other words, lifting off color. Because like I said, it goes where it wants to go. I'm going over here. Water. The water brush doesn't have to be very pointed. It can just be a water brush. This one. But it probably should be bigger than this because this doesn't do very much. Everyone should go see the show. I am sorry that the website was broken. I wrote out to people, you know, that it was up, and Elizabeth Evie, whom some of you know, wrote back, "Where are the pictures?" And I went and I looked and I said, "Oh, I don't know." And of course,
I just thought it was me.
yes, everybody thought it was them, and it wasn't. It was, and it wasn't even sort of officially us. It was they do updates. You know, the people that host the website, they go and they do updates, and they turn off or they turn on automatic caching. And the program I use for the web site, the photo gallery, if it's cached, they assume you've got it.
Ah.
So they don't need to keep serving it. So
fantastic pictures.
well, thank you.
Thank you for
The
sharing.
show I thought the show pictures were great.
So I guess, yeah, that's what I meant. But
Yeah.
they were lovely.
I thought we did beautifully.
Mhm.
Chris sent me a tweet, and I want to be sure that to Amanda Gorman, and people are, dressing their kids like Amanda Gorman and stuff. And I said, I've got to get on there and have our show. I haven't done it yet, but
No, that'd be great.
Do you know,
Yeah.
DuPont Circle has something on her.
Yeah, the new mural. Have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I heard
right.
about that. Yeah,
I don't think it's quite finished, but it's a fabulous piece of work. So big.
Where is it?
I don't
DuPont
think
Circle.
that's press, but if you Google Amanda Gorman DuPont mural, you'll find it.
Oh, okay.
It's huge. I mean, right up the whole side of a building.
well, she's lovely as well as talented and brilliant. Okay, so where can I go? I can go down. I'm afraid of down the middle. It's very scary. I can go up here. I can't keep them straight, Louise.
Keep one straight.
The brushes. I don't know
It
which
helps
brush.
to be ambidextrous, No.
Well, sometimes when I'm doing two, I'll hold two brushes in my hand,
Mhm.
and I'm okay like that. But this is three. This is one for water, one for red, and one for green. And I don't think I'm clever. I'm not this good.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a very red one, and I think I'm using the green brush.
Is Lynn there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, well, welcome,
Thank you.
Marilyn is here.
Marilyn. Hi.
Yeah. I think that's actually pretty close to what is there. So I go here. That's oh, that's a very green one. Good. This is a green brush. This is a water brush. I'm going to do this green one. Okay, that's water. This is green. Oh, that's very green though. The leaf is not that green. And it's not gray, so I think I want some yellow. Oh, that's too much. All right, where can I go now? These dry? No, they're not dry. I can go, that's dry. I can go here. And this I decided to ignore. There's this white thing because I think that's the stem coming from another pot. And so I decided that I would ignore that one. This is the green brush. Put it by the green pot. This is the water brush. So this has got to be the red brush. And that's sort of a mixture of the two. Maybe a little more cadmium. Just a hair of a shadow right in the middle. There's the green brush. Green brush now has yellow in it. Okay. What do I think now? I think I can go back to this. I don't think I like this brush as a water brush. It's not sharp enough. I think I should throw that brush out. When they lose their point, it gets much more difficult. Taking a small brush. Well, this I used with the goop, so it's still got soap in it. I didn't get all soap out because I'm making little bubbles on my paper. And this is sort of the perfect charging thing, because it starts up at the top with the pink red. And then at the bottom, where's the green brush? It's just green. Hooker's green, Marilyn.
So could you say again what you mean by charging exactly?
Charging is that you've wet the paper and you just stick little daubs of paint into the wetness, the puddle that you've created. And I don't know why they call it charging, but that's what they call it. Now these,
What does that give you?
it gives you this hopefully fairly smooth transition between your two colors or your 4 colors or however many colors you're using. And it depends on your having wetness to begin with, which is why I used a lot of goop on this. I mean, a lot for me. I don't use a lot of goop. But you see how where it's drying, they mix in their own way. No?
Oh, that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's much easier to see.
Yeah, I see now.
Ah, yeah.
But you do get that thing where it makes an outline for the.
You get an outline. Well, that's why I like doing it with flowers, because I feel like you can have the outline on the flower, on the edge of the petal.
That's just the paint kind of collects there. Is that it?
Well, it's just like when you spill your coffee. It dries from the outside in, and some more of it dries on the outside.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and I kind of like that in petals, because like on this one, you've got greens and greens together. You see it?
Mhm.
So that little outline, because I waited till this one dried before I put water on this one, then that little outline defines a boundary in between the two petals, even though they're very close in color.
Yeah.
I don't know how to move it. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. It still looks like a sea anemone. I think using the blue in the background makes it sea-like. Oh well. I won't tell anybody what it's supposed to be, and they can decide it's a sea anemone. Okay, where can I go now? I can go over here. This is dry. I can go to this one, and this one has pink and white and green. And the point of making the puddle the way you make the puddle so that it should be in your lines. You know what I mean? In other words, that way the little edge that you get from the wetness covers up your pencil line. One hopes. I think this is green. So we'll start with green down the bottom. This isn't quite the same green. This is more of a spring green than a hooker's green. Do I have a spring green? I have a spring green, but it's not one of our approved colors. But I'm going to cheat. Yeah, that's a spring green, all right. But it blossoms out from the darkest part is where I put the brush. Now that's too green. That's too spring greeny. That needs to be dark. Diane? Oh,
Hi,
hi. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I've been missing you all.
Oh, we've been missing you too.
I know. Thank you, Marilyn.
Reminders are great, aren't they?
Yeah, she says, like, where the H are you, girl? Get in here.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Welcome back.
Yes, yes. So glad to be back. Those were some beautiful succulents. The pictures that you sent.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I'm doing my best to paint one.
Yes.
Here we go.
Well, I just messed that one up. I got green in my pink.
Pink.
So I'm blotting it up.
Uh-huh.
Come back to it.
Okay.
You'll notice when you see the video that this part has been edited out.
I don't do that. I do edit out bad words. But I really think
Censorship.
you appreciate that.
Well, censorship, we should be.
Oh, censorship.
Ah,
It's self-censorship. We're
we
one.
are pretty good. But I do edit out, like when Chris is giving technical instructions for somebody, I edit those out.
Oh, you're good.
I edit out. Oh, I am good. I have become good. That is my new skill. Editing video.
A year ago, she had not ever edited any video at all.
I had done
Oh,
Photoshop.
wow. That's wonderful. Look how you've grown and learned.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, it's been a learning process for everyone. Everyone.
Is that what we're going to call it?
Oh, I remember after my second husband died, I was talking to my daughter and saying, I don't want any more learning experiences for a while. I just don't want any more learning experiences.
So Dan, what has been a learning that you can share with us?
Yes, one you can share.
Well, just a matter of getting on Zoom. I really hadn't used it before COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Used it at all. And
Right.
now,
So that's true for many people.
yeah. So now I use Zoom, Instagram. Wasn't on Instagram either. Use
Oh.
Instagram and what's the third? Oh, the district government used Team.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you like Team? Or do you?
It's okay. I think because I've used Zoom so much, and I shouldn't say just the district government, because I think Department of Aging, or maybe it's the individual employees who go on Zoom. I'm not sure about the agency itself. But I guess I could say I prefer Zoom.
Yeah.
I will tell you a story. We do this church Zoom now 3 mornings a week, and we
church, yes.
Well, we do morning prayer, and initially it was new to people, and there was a lot of fumbling and so forth. And then sometime late in August, and the page is in terms of the Zoom content very similar to what you see on Paint Zoom. And I had messed up, and I had not changed a link correctly. Long story. Every one of the 8 people managed to find a way in.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was so, I hadn't done that intentionally, but I was so impressed with everyone. Some people called me up, some people realized they could type in the password, but everybody made it in. And in March, we would have lost at least half that crew. So people have all.
We might have lost them altogether too.
Wow.
I'm never going back there again. That was hard.
Oh, the first church Zoom we did, Elin, it turns out, had multiple Zoom accounts, so that we told people join this Zoom, but we started that Zoom.
Yeah.
And the terror of being on an empty screen, and you see the email from Zoom saying, your guests are waiting for you, but the screen is empty.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was scary.
Oh, wow.
So we have learned a few things along the way.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So.
Yeah. Yes.
We have learned stuff.
Yes, and now it is still a learning process.
Yep.
I watched the Golden Globe, and it's just amazing how they can fit the screening together, because I think they showed Amy reaching out or doing something, and it looked like her hand was right there. It was right where it was supposed to be. It's amazing. Yeah. So even the tech people are learning new processes.
Oh yeah. And new technology is being invented, even as we speak, so to speak.
Yes.
It's just.
I also imagine the people at Zoom in March, half of them saying, we are going to be rich. And the other half saying, if we don't
survive.
No, when you have the president saying, well, I just Zoomed with my advisors, right? That is in terms of business, that is money in the bank.
Yes.
They have done very well.
Yes, they have. And it's become a terminology now.
Oh yeah, I'm going to Zoom now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Makes you feel so sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
from the first. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dan. Finish up.
No, I was just going to say, from the first grader to those that are in the 90s or in the hundreds. So yes.
Oh, we did a session like this, but for a friend who's written a book, and so she gave a book talk for an hour and read some excerpts and so forth. And it was about 30 people from all across the country, and a church thing. So just I hope she got some sales, but there was no direct money involved. And she's in her 80s, and her daughters both helped her set up, and we practiced, and it went very smoothly. And then I was talking to her about it afterwards, and she said, well, it was fine, thank you. And she got good comments, and everyone loved her, and it was wonderful. She'd been a teacher in DC, so that was really interesting. At Blue.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And then she said, but this technology, it's so complicated. And I said, if 20 years ago you'd come to me and say, I would like to do a video conference with 30 people coming from different locations with back and forth video interaction and chat interaction all across the country, and my budget is zero, right? That would have been it. The conversation would have been over. I don't even know how I couldn't have done it 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
And I said, and now we just did it with a few practices, but essentially for free. And she said, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Joan Karate.
Yes.
Because people know Baloo.
Yeah, she was a teacher at Baloo for many years, and she had some really,
she had some great stories.
Great stories.
I bet she does. Yeah. Yes, indeed. But we're so blessed to live in this day and age of this modern technology where we can connect Like
Yeah.
that.
Well, the thing is, if we had to have this ridiculous pandemic, it's a good
Right.
thing that we have it now.
Yeah.
I'm going back to my single brush. I can't keep brushes straight. Okay, Chris is reminding me that it's getting on. But one of the things that one wants to do with this one anyway, is take paint off. Do I have one where I can take paint off? Yeah. I should have planned this better.
Part of
Oh.
your charm.
Yeah, well. Is that Virginia? That sounded like Virginia.
I'm sorry. I'm not complicated over at this end.
You didn't introduce yourself. Okay, so I want to take paint off where, yeah, that's the one that I would really like to take it off and it's not dry. But this one is pretty good. See right along here how it's whiter. So now that this paint is dry, I will go over it with a brush and pull the paint off to make that lighter bit. Of course, what's interesting is it's pink on the original, and it's coming out green. But you see how I took the paint off right on this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Let's find another dry one.
Now, is the brush damp or is it dry?
It's just put in the water and sort of squeezed off.
Right.
In other
Okay.
words, just like that.
Right.
Okay.
This one I put goop, so that means there's a lot of white, but I can take off in between. That's not as obvious. I'll take a little off that edge, the side edge. Now, normally I wouldn't do that while the other leaf is still not painted,
Mhm.
Okay.
because it's going to interfere with my ability to paint this leaf. In other words, the white that I create here, that's not dry enough.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh.
Right along there.
Mhm.
But you see, it's going to interfere with this. Once I put paint on this, then it's going to mess up that. I'll put paint on that now, and we'll see how that goes. And that one is this. So the big thing about charging is to stay away from places that are wet, because you always want the water to define your shape. So you have to stay away from where it's wet, because otherwise it runs. A little bit of pink at the top. Okay. This will do this one. Up. If you drip on it, it's really bad. Which I just did.
That's why God invented Kleenex.
That's right. That's right. Why pencils have erasers, even though I don't want you to use them. I'm not going to do two of these.
Question.
Go ahead.
What kind of plant is that? I know it's a succulent, but I don't know the name of it.
It's something with an E.
Oh, okay.
I knew it.
Emily, Edward, or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, Emily is good. I have a granddaughter named Emily. Let's name this plant Emily.
That'll work.
No, it's a long word. It's not echinacea, but it's something like echinacea. It's and actually, I think if you go to the website, I think the name of the plant may be there.
Uh-huh.
That's too green. In the title of the plant, in the title of the file.
Okay, I'll take a look for it.
And I could do that on purpose. This is a complex enough lesson so that I think we might continue it next week.
Good.
And we have to work on it again? Hard?
Yes, hard, right. And you could work on it during the week and bring in stuff on the week, on the next session, and I could see how you're doing. Isn't that a great idea?
Good idea.
Sure.
And I can work on mine during the week. Okay, that's sort of a grayish. So we start with the green.
And you make the magic happen.
Well, the water makes the magic happen.
Oh, yes, okay.
And like I said, you have to give up having it look just like the photograph because you're not controlling it.
Right.
The paint and the water are mixing at on their own agenda.
Right.
Mhm.
They're not doing it the way you might want it to. And I have goop, and that's why I think I want to do it again next week, because then you'll see what it looks like with the goop taken off.
Mhm.
Because nothing is dry enough for that. I've got a puddle here, so I'm sopping up. I'm sopping up just by drying my thing on the tissue.
Right.
There. And this one has white along the edge too. See if I can do that. Oh, I've got goop there. So it will be white along the edge, but I'm just cleaning the paint off the goop. Not quite the same thing. Okay, let's do that green. It's time. Somebody's timer is coming off.
Sorry, it's my husband's tea. He times it for 2 minutes, 4 minutes.
Oh, he's good.
He's very, very precise.
Yes.
What kind of tea?
It's stuff. I get very embarrassed with this. We import it.
Yes.
What kind?
It's an English breakfast tea, but it's a very nice blend. So
Oh, that's nice. Sounds nice.
it is. So that's why you want to kind of brew it carefully for 4 minutes, because anything more than that, your mouth explodes with tannin. It's a bit. Much.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that. It's the best tea I've had in the States.
Well, I do an English breakfast tea for breakfast, but this iced tea that I do is a mixture of green tea, mint tea, cranberry juice, and cranberry juice.
Ooh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty precise about that blend too, because you want them balanced. Because it's cranberry juice without any sugar or any other juice. Like most cranberry juices are actually apple juices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That that aren't all cranberry, and I really wanted just the cranberry because I don't want the added sweetness.
Yeah.
But then if you put too much of it, it's bitter.
It's bitter.
Yeah.
So it's. But I'm precise about that too.
Maybe you can share the recipe with us.
Oh
Oh, it's one of those family secrets.
no, it's just more work. It's just work.
Oh,
Oh,
My grandmother was a professional chef. She as a young woman, she worked on Park Avenue. She worked at Hyde Park for the Roosevelts. She my sister went back and looked at the censuses, and there she is on Park Avenue.
oh.
But she was a cook. She was, and today she would be called a chef, but of course then she was a woman, so she was called a cook.
Mhm.
And she had all her recipes in her head.
Wow.
Mhm.
So she never shared any of her recipes with anyone, including her daughters or her granddaughter.
Mm.
And I remember
Excuse me. Go ahead.
first cooking and reading a recipe, and it's saying cream, butter, and sugar together till fluffy. And I said, what does that mean?
they're fluffy.
Oh, yeah.
Still fluffy? Still fluffy?
Uh,
Do you remember the cookbooks where when you had the stove where my grandfather had one. He was a good cook too. And you'd move the pot forward and then you'd move the pot to the back burner.
Oh yeah. So you have different burners. You have different
Yes,
burners.
yes.
Well, that
I
you
thought it was
had
good.
when you cook with wood.
Mhm.
Because it was the insulation in between the fire and the different amounts of insulation would let more or less heat in.
Well, he never wrote down most of
And that's
his
why they say,
recipes
I'll
either.
put it on the back burner.
Burner. Yeah.
Because the back burner was less hot.
Mhm.
So it can be there and not burn.
That's like grilling also. your grill has different temperatures and different parts.
places. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, that's too red.
Were you getting ready to say something else about your grandfather, though? I thought, who was that?
Oh, I'm always talking. No, I just, he would make, I think I've said this before, fruitcake, and he would never give the recipe out.
Yeah.
And I think I was around 10 and I was helping him
Yes.
get bits and pieces. But
Yeah.
we had one the year before he died. It was about 25 years old. And he it became better as the years went on.
Wow.
And when he died, my grandmother took what he'd written down and gave it out to everyone.
That was great.
Oh,
My
that
sister
was-
made hers is pretty good. It was very similar to my grandfather's.
Ah.
My mother did that with my grandmother's recipes. As my grandmother got older, younger than I am now, but as my grandmother got older, my mother said, we would like to have some of these recipes. And of course, my grandmother, she didn't have cup measures and stuff like that. So then my mother and I are sitting there trying to figure out, okay, so how many is a few and how many is several?
How much is a handful?
How much is a handful?
Right.
But of course, as you cook, you get to learn those things.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And I have a story from when I was an archaeologist. I was a field archaeologist, and the woman that was working with me, so we were both former housewives. We were both housewives. And so we were counting shell on an archaeological site. Well, this is a great big mound of shell, and they want to know how much it is. So we know, that's about a cup. So we would just go, we would go 1, 2, we would count up how many cups it was. Well, we did that summer, and we had some estimate of, and we called it an estimate. We had this much because we converted it into however gallons or whatever. And so then that winter, I'm working on reports inside in the lab because it's winter, and somebody else was working on the report for the site that I had been working on with this other woman, and he's converting our estimate of cups into decimal, and he's doing it to the 4th decimal place.
No. Oh, I estimated the cup. Oh no.
Oh, yeah. So we're saying, there's 147 cups, and then he is converting that into grams, and he's doing it to the 4th decimal place.
Into something that the rest of the world can understand.
Yes. But the thing is, to the 4th decimal place, that is
That's
suggesting a precision that just was not there. We don't want to claim that kind of precision.
Right.
It's basically lying to claim that kind of precision.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's a bit crazy.
Oh, I didn't get the water in this.
I'm sorry I was late getting on, but did you trace the image onto the paper the way we've done in earlier days?
Yes, but I did that before anyone was on.
I'm sure. Yes.
I did that this morning about 10 o'clock.
Wow.
So you certainly didn't miss seeing it. Oh, Chris is bringing me my wine. You know what that means.
Oh, class is almost over.
So let me make sure I understand. You gooped the flower in first and then you painted the background?
Yes, but
Then
you cannot have a background.
I want a background. You know me in backgrounds.
Yes.
I like the idea of gooping the flower in, but
I gooped the edge.
okay.
And first I did this part with the yellows and browns and salt.
Salt.
Okay, yeah.
And I let that dry. And then, no, I misspoke. I did the light blue first with saran wrap, with plastic wrap. And then I did the salt on the yellow and browns and stuff. And I didn't like the way the edges were, the border in between here. So I did another layer. I did black just around the edges and plastic wrap again. So right here, it's plastic wrap on top of salt, yellow and salt with black paint.
So that's saran wrap on the picture?
No, not now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what it looks like.
We did this, and you were here.
I know, but I thought you did something different.
No.
This time.
It's exactly the same, except that there's 2
okay.
layers of doing the saran wrap.
Okay.
And there's salt on the bottom. And I think you did that at Randall. Where else did I use it? I use it with the bottles, as the background on the bottles. I don't know. It's not hard. You just put paint down and then put salt on it. And I have coarse salt.
I'm gonna go get some coarse salt this week.
Yeah.
'Cause it does have a much better effect.
Yeah, because they're
That's a
bigger.
great idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're bigger.
Yeah.
And if you have a salt grinder, then you can grind them up and use them on the table. Because you usually end up with more. Yeah, Louise is showing a salt grinder. Because you usually don't use it that much on your painting. It makes for a nice background. And when you do a background, it looks on purpose. You know, it's modeled on purpose.
Mhm.
Whereas if you do a background that's just modeled because your paint is not even, it doesn't look as on purpose.
Right.
And so then people don't think you're as great a painter as you are. Okay. Love you all. Take care.
Thank you so much. Take
Hey.
care.
Yeah.
Hi, thank
Hey,
you.
come back.
See you next week.
Yes.